And that was President Trump just a few hours ago talking about how he thinks these negotiations can move forward, but offering a proposal that is a proposal from within his administration. No Democrats were consulted. I'm joined now by former Republican Congressman of Florida, Carlos Curbelo, an NBC News and MSNBC political analyst. I'm trying to figure out how they think in the White House, Congressman, this moves anything forward. They had to know that by going back to $5.7 billion for the wall, that was going to be a non-starter. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have said it's a non-starter. What he says he's giving, for example, 3 years for DACA, giving back something that he took away in the first place. How does this move things forward?
Chris, good evening from Miami. For those of us who have worked on immigration reform for many years, today is actually a step in the right direction. Now, that doesn't mean that this is a deal that Democrats should take, but I really do view this as an invitation back to the table. The president is putting some things on the table. I think the fact that TPS is included is important. The TPS population is similar to the DACA population. Some of these individuals have been in the United States for 18, 19, 20 years, and they really do deserve a permanent solution. So what I hope is that Democrats led by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer will at least consider making a counter-proposal, a counter-offer to the president, perhaps that would deliver permanent protections for DACA recipients and for the TPS population.
But you're already hearing, as you know, from people like Ann Coulter, and I'm sure we're going to hear from some conservative Republicans, saying this is amnesty, and and there she is. Trump proposes amnesty. We voted for Trump and got Jeb. So where does that leave the Republican side of this?
And without a question, those types of comments do have an influence on the president, regrettably, and on some Republicans. But the president tonight said and went on the record saying that he did want to compromise, that he did want a deal. For weeks now, Chris, I think many of us have known that the obvious the obvious solution for the current drama and this shutdown crisis, which, by the way, the president should own because he said he would own back at that meeting in the White House last year. However, I think most people in the country want to see us emerge from this, get out of this. And the obvious way out, where both sides can save face, Chris, is permanent protections for the DACA population. We had 1.8 million in the bill I worked on in the last Congress. Hopefully a number similar to that. And, yes, increased funding for border security. As Gabe Gutierrez just showed, there are problems at the border. There is human trafficking. There is drug trafficking.
So let me ask you this,
because
you know better than the average person how complicated this is, how very complex the negotiations have been, how emotionally as well as legally fraught they can be. Do the Democrats have a point when they say, you cannot negotiate this under these circumstances? The government should never have been shut down. 800,000 people are not getting paid. Open up the government and then let's have the conversation. But if we're going to wait to get comprehensive immigration reform while 800,000 people are waiting to get paid, I think at some point the airports are going to be shut down, don't you?
I agree with that, Chris, and there's no need to shut down the government in order to have a good debate and a good result on immigration reform. But this is where we are. We don't get to choose, right? This is where we are, and we know that in order to reopen the government, we're going to need a bill that gets a majority in the House, 60 votes in the Senate, and the president's signature. And what I would say for those on the left that are saying, well, no negotiation, no way, just demand that he open up the government, there are 800,000 federal workers and families that are really hoping that our leaders can come to a compromise, reach an agreement, reopen the government, and, by the way, make some progress on this immigration issue that doesn't just hurt our country in terms of immigration policy, but spills over more broadly into society, sows a lot of resentment and scapegoating in our society. Solving immigration will help heal this country's politics. And this is a crisis. It was unnecessary, but I think at this point, our leaders should take advantage of it, try to get the government back open, and deliver a good solution for immigration that's balanced and that improves people's lives.
We're out of